How's it going, YouTube? My name is John. Today is an exciting time for the zombies community because yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the remastered Die Rise billboard. Since then, what have we achieved? Well, nothing. Die Rise has not been remastered. Treyarch has had a year to remaster this stupid map. They know our demands. We made them very clear. We just want remastered Die Rise, and they've just been sitting on their ass like a bunch of lazy developers. Allegedly, the map is already done, but no, they don't want to release it for whatever god-awful reason. It's honestly just absolutely ridiculous. I digress. I don't want to be negative. This should be a positive time. This is one of the greatest feats and achievements ever done by the zombies community. We should be happy. We should be positive. We shouldn't get too bummed by the fact that Treyarch are a bunch of lazy assholes not remastering Die Rise. So we're going to be positive. Today, what we're doing is celebrating achievements in the field of Die Rise. I want to dive back into the world of world records and look at some amazing accomplishments that have been done in the realm of Die Rise world records, because over the past year, the world record has absolutely exploded. Like, I've done enough world record videos at this point to know that when a world record jumps from 131, which is the previous high round world record set by Tidy Barbecue, to 156 by Blasters, then there must have been some kind of change. There must have been some discovery, some new strategy, some kind of revelation in the high round community that allowed them to push the world record by an extra 25 rounds over the course of a year. It's actually absolutely incredible. And I think what better way to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the remastered Die Rise billboard than to celebrate the achievements in the field of Die Rise. Now, before we get into it, there's two quick plugs I want to mention. The first one is that all the remastered Die Rise merch is going to be available for this week only. If you missed out last time, or you just want to support the cause and support our fight to remaster Die Rise, a link is in the description. We got posters, we got hoodies, we got stickers. All your favorite remastered Die Rise merch has been updated. It's back, but it'll only be available for this week only, so jump on it. In addition to that, I'm quietly in the background working on another big Die Rise project, and the money from this remastered Die Rise sale will hopefully go back into fueling this big project. So if you want to support our fight, if you want to support my channel, and you want to get some awesome remastered Die Rise merch, a link is in the description, but it'll be for this week only, so jump on it. Lastly, I want to also give a shout out to Knifing King for helping me out with the creation of this video. He is very knowledgeable in the world of world records, and he was really helpful in editing my script, and I appreciated his help on this video so much that I want to give him a shout out. He does a bunch of world record videos, so if you like documentary style, long form world record history videos, check his channel out. A link is in the description. Tell him that you came from here and show him some love. He's doing some really good work. He really knows his stuff, and he's making great videos. So check out Knifing King. A link to his channel is in the description, and thank you so much for helping me with the video. With those two plugs out of the way, let's jump into the Die Rise world record. So let's review where we left off in the world of Die Rise high round world records. When we last discussed it, it was 131 by Tidy Barbecue. His game lasted about 17 hours when he ran into a script error. Now, the thing about this error was we weren't exactly sure where it came from. Some people thought that maybe he was using the trample steam too much and that this accumulated into an error, or maybe when the elevator was killing zombies, this was accumulating to some kind of error also. The community wasn't really sure, and it almost felt like this error was unavoidable, because Tidy had actually gotten to 131 twice and ran into this same error 2 times. There must have been something wrong with the way Tidy was playing that was leading to this error being accumulated to. People just didn't have the answer though. It wasn't that the game was maxed out and that we couldn't get any higher than Die Rise. People felt it was possible, they just weren't sure how exactly. Now, to review, the basic strategy on Die Rise worked like this. You started off by running a trade strat with the Sliquifier. You would camp in the elevator shaft, and you typically stay here till about 80 to 100, depending on how good a player you are. Tidy would typically camp in this elevator shaft till about 100, and that's when he'd jump down. Now at this point, he'd start running a trade strat again in the elevator, but this time standing on the ledge of the elevator. Now you would do this with the Sliquifier till about round 116. This is when the Sliquifier stops becoming a viable weapon. Now give or take a round or two, some people think you should actually try to push the Sliquifier even further, but generally speaking, around round 116 is when the Sliquifier stops becoming a viable weapon. From there, you start running what's called the Trample Steam strategy. The Trample Steam strategy is that you're in this room and you basically hoard up all the zombies, place the Trample Steam in the gap between the two rooms, let them run over it, and boom, they're all killed by the Trample Steam. In theory, the strategy is pretty simple. It's actually, in practice, difficult to run, but that's basically what you're doing. You're just hoarding up the zombies, killing them with the Trample Steam, and then rinse and repeat. This was the basic flow of Die Rise high round runs in a nutshell. Like I said, it's a bit more involved and there's a lot of discussion into how long you should run the Sliquifier and other things like that, but that I go into more detail in my previous Die Rise video. If you want to check that out, a link will be in the description of this video if you're interested in more discussion on what went on into Tidy's previous high round run on Die Rise. For the majority of last year, that's pretty much where the Die Rise world record stood. Tidy sat at 131, and this accumulation error was a hump we just could not get past, whether it was the Trample Steam killing too many zombies, the elevator killing too many zombies, or who knows, maybe just too many entities accumulating over the course of the game. There was some sort of barrier that people felt if we could just get past this, Die Rise is wide open and can be pushed even further. We just weren't sure what the answer was. Then came Omesco. Omesco was actually playing Die Rise no power. He was trying to go for the record there, and he just kept going and going and going till eventually, suddenly, Omesco had the Die Rise world record. He not only had the Die Rise no power record, but he had the Die Rise high round world record accidentally. He kind of stumbled into it, if you can call it that. So in his game, he actually ends up dying at around 125, and at this point, he goes and turns on the power. So his no power world record run is over and officially set, but he's so close to the high round world record that he decides to keep going, and he recovers from his down, turns on the power, repurchases his perks, and then sets his sight on the high round world record. The decision paid off because Omesco reached 131 in 19 hours, which is pretty good pace. Then he kept going, and the game eventually froze at round 140, right as the Trample Steam was about to go off. So with the world record set, it begged the question, how is this possible? What did Omesco do differently from Tidy that allowed him to blow past the world record by an extra 9 rounds? We weren't exactly sure. I mean, if you look at their strategies, they did have different early games. Omesco actually spent much of his early game in the sushi bar area because that's a much more viable place to run during a no power run as opposed to the elevator where Tidy spent the majority of his early game. Their late game, however, was fairly similar. They just ran the Trample Steam strategy. So what exactly is going on here that allowed this to be possible? What is it about a no power run that suddenly lets you blow past the world record? Well, it turns out the answer to this question was the elevators this whole time. On Die Rise, you have 6 elevators scattered across the map, and 5 of these elevators remain still until you turn the power on. Once they start moving, they're going to go up and down the whole game, and they'll kill zombies, and every time they kill zombies, it explodes. It turns out that killing the zombies with the elevator and playing this explosion animation is slowly building up to an error. This is called an accumulation error, and these kind of things can happen all the time in zombies. You never notice it because you're only playing a map for maybe 1 to 2 hours at a time, but if you run a map for 16 hours or 30 hours, however long your world record run may be, you could potentially run into one of these accumulation errors, and this is what was going on with the elevators. So at this point, the community had discovered that the culprit to this error was the elevators, and they concluded that, well, if you run a no-power game, you have 5 of the 6 elevators off, and you only have 1 elevator moving up and down. That's the quick revive elevator, which is always on, killing zombies. So in theory, if you have 6 elevators running as opposed to 1, you're actually accumulating to that error 6 times faster. Now, this isn't exactly the case, because when you're running in the trample steam room, you actually only have 3 elevators you need to worry about. You don't have to worry about the 2 on the bottom half of the map near power, but still, with 3 elevators running as opposed to 1, you're accumulating to that error much faster. By only having 1 elevator active in a no power run, well, then you're gonna hit that accumulation error at a much slower rate. So this was the key. If you want to set the Die Rise world record and blow it out of the water, you have to play an entire game with no power, which is an incredibly daunting task. 1, you have to get all of your perks through the jumping jacks. 2, if you lose your perks, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get them back. And 3, you have to switch up how you play Die Rise when you're running no power. You can no longer camp in the elevator shaft, you instead have to run in the sushi bar. This was the challenge set for Zombies players. Die Rise world record is now for the taking. All it takes is someone to step up and play a complete game of Die Rise with no power. Now, it turns out the man up for this challenge was Blasters. Blasters started playing Die Rise in July of 2021, and he played it for 32 hours straight. Now, for reference, Omesco's previous run was 26 hours, and if you remember, Tidy's game was 17 hours. So Blasters had played for 32 hours. That's nearly double the amount of time that Tidy was able to run. So that just goes to show how much longer playing with no power all the way through can extend your world record run. It's actually absolutely incredible when you put it into that context. Now, his game followed much of the same strategy as Omesco. He ran the sushi bar early up until about round 116, and then from then on he ran the trample steam strat exclusively, and Blasters was pretty successful in his run. He did, however, go down at round 140, which was at record pace, but he was able to recover and kept going till round 156 when his game officially froze. That was the Die Rise world record now, 156, held by Blasters, and it stands to this day. It was also the first game to be played in its entirety from start to error with no power. Now, talking to Blasters, he believes that the Die Rise world record is not done. He thinks that it can actually be pushed higher, because you'll notice the quick revive machine is still running. It's going to kill zombies over the course of the game. That's inevitable, but the way you play Die Rise can actually maybe prevent more zombies from being killed. Normally, you'll just kill the zombies once they're all spawned in on the map, but if you instead wait till the quick revive elevator is at the top of its cycle, when you kill their horde of zombies and the rest of the zombies spawn in, the elevator shouldn't be anywhere near them and shouldn't kill any extra zombies as they spawn in. If you were to play this that efficiently and made sure you only killed zombies when the quick revive elevator is at the top of its cycle, then in theory you should be able to push the map even further. He believes that the map could actually be as pushed as round 170, which would be absolutely incredible. Now, I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. It would take a hell of a lot of patience to play a Die Rise game like that, but if somebody is up for the challenge, then maybe they can beat Blaster's record of 156. As it stands right now, that is the current state of the Die Rise world record, and the case is closed on what was causing the error. It was those damn elevators this whole time quietly killing zombies, something you might not even notice in your regular game of zombies. I personally never even think about the fact that the elevator kills zombies. I didn't even know that it was killing the zombies. I thought they might have just respawned spawned in or something at some point in the game. Who knew that those little dumb explosion animations were holding back a world record from being pushed an extra 25 rounds and going on from 17 hours to 32 hours. It's actually crazy to think about. That's going to wrap up this video though. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to give a shout out to Blasters for looking over my script and talking to me about the world record. Thank you so much for helping me out in this video. I want to give a shout out to Amesco for really being a pioneer in the world and field of Die Rise world records. Your service to Die Rise is absolutely saluted. I want to give again another shout out to Knifing King for helping me out with my script as well. Please do go check out his world record videos. A link is in the description. And lastly, if you want to support our fight for Die Rise to be remastered, then check out the remastered Die Rise merch. A link is in the description. It'll only be available for this week, and if you want to support me and future Die Rise projects, a link is down below. That's going to wrap up the video though. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and bye. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe give it a like, possibly subscribe, or maybe even consider supporting the channel on Patreon. My goal is to make zombies videos that are better and different from everybody else, and your support on this mission would absolutely mean the world. There you can find all sorts of bonus content, you can find sneak peeks at what I'm working on, and I'm always running cool giveaways for my patrons. So if you want to get involved in that, a link is in the description. It would mean the world if you guys supported my channel. I want to give a shout out though to my top tier patrons: Alexander, Bailey S, Callum S, Daniel C, David O, Jordan L, Juggernaut Otter, Caden B, Cassim S, Magna Collider, Martin S, Moonboy, Nick H, and Sean R. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means the world. I'm gonna go. Have a wonderful day, and bye.